Commissioner Dodd?
Here.
Commissioner Cush?
Here.
Commissioner Nipper?
Here.
Commissioner Piercy?
Here.
Commissioner Serrano?
Yeah.
Commissioner Stevens?
Here.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Here.
Approved minutes.
Approve minutes from last meeting.
I believe you read those, didn't you?
Make a motion to approve the minutes as mailed.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Highway Department.
Evening, Commissioners.
I have for you today one temporary access easement to access a project to rectify a pond situation. Go in, clean it out, rebuild a berm. Should be pretty straightforward as far as the project goes, but to get access to it, we need this access easement to do that. It's temporary, being we plan on doing this in the next year, and then the easement would be dissolved after a year.
The homeowner agrees that
Yes, sir. I take care of that stuff before I bring this stuff to you guys. I make sure the homeowner's on board once the project, talk to him about what that process involves. He understands it. And then once you guys approve it, I go back and get the official notary. And we don't start work until you guys approve it. And I have a notary on file that says he has agreed to this.
make a motion to approve.
Second.
Made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Y'all have a good evening.
See you, Matt.
Okay. Building code.
Good evening. All right, I gave you guys a copy of the monthly report, and then the second document, or the second stack of documents was for the budget, so we'll do the monthly report first. Building permits was up this month. We really didn't slow down over the winter, I guess, because of the weather, but we're really starting to pick up. We are up 277 total permits this month from 217 last month and 190 the same month last year. The total fees of $103,956 for the month, as opposed to last month was $79,585, and this month last year was $61,198. Single-family dwellings up 17, 51 last month, 68 this month, and 46 same month last year. Zoning, we had a total of 160 inspections this month with 18 new cases. And development tax was a total of $298,500 for the month of February.
Permits were up, but your development tax is falling each February since 13. Just curious.
That's a good observation.
Since 12.
Well, this month last year we were at 295. This year, or this month we're at 298. The year before that was 325.
So the
A lot of our development tax, we collect money for the city of Murfreesboro, Smyrna, and Laverne also, so.
permits are up by 21, and development tax is down. It's up by 3,000. I don't have a question.
hardly
I'm just,
makes sense, right?
it doesn't, something doesn't make sense.
Gonna make sure these numbers are correct tomorrow.
Most of the development taxes from the other jurisdictions. Murfreesboro, for example,
Yeah.
And what she's collecting on single-family permits is just
Oh, sure.
not very much.
It's not a
of the
real
total
ratio.
amount. It's not a-
Gotcha.
No, sir.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense, of course.
I'll make a motion to approve her report.
Second. Motion made and seconded.
All right, so this is my first year with the budget, so I'll let you guide me.
That would be good.
All in favor?
Sorry.
Aye.
Sorry.
Sure.
Apologize. The first three is, of course, the documents that are required by finance, and the remainder is just supporting documents for some of our numbers and condition of our vehicles. And I did put the same report that I included in last month's monthly report for the last 10 years comparison. I added at the bottom the single-family dwellings for each year and also the total number of permits issued each year, just for reference.
Kind of just tell them about the 2 or 3 or 4 things that really are
The big items.
different from what you currently are doing.
Okay. On the fourth page, there's a listing of the different line items. And I've noted in here where the differences are and why there's a difference. Next page. Yes. There you go. Our biggest differences, of course, is the first one, the county official, between my predecessor's salary and mine. There's a difference there. In data processing services, we included $10,000 for purchase, setup, and configuration of some new software that we have yet to present to you guys and be approved. So that is maintenance agreements also for that same software. That would be an annual maintenance agreement. And then motor vehicles would be the final one that is the difference. And I also included a sheet on the list of our vehicles, the mileage, the condition of them, and what they're used for. And you can see that we've got 4 2003 and 2004 Chevrolet Silverado trucks, 3 of which are 2-wheel drive, that are all over 150,000 miles. 2 of them are hovering right around 170. And all 4 of these vehicles have, for one reason or another, spent more time in the shop in the last year than, so they're in dire need to be replaced over the next year or 2. They're used on a daily basis. We put somewhere between 12 and 15,000 miles on these trucks every year. And these would be the off-road ones. These ones would be the ones that we use on the job site, where there's just construction driveways available for us to get in and out of. Sometimes not even that.
So your in your request is replacement of 2 of the oldest vehicles, right?
Right. 2 of the 2-wheel drive, preferably the 4-wheel drive. The one 4-wheel drive that we do have, the engine was replaced last year, and so we feel like we can maybe hold on to it one more year. If we're going to hold on to anything, we'd like to hold on to the 4-wheel drive. And whichever ones we replace, we can use as spares. We don't have any spares right now, so we're just gonna switch trucks around when one's in the shop.
I believe David asked for 2 last year. Did he not get 2, Mr.
We
Mayor?
did. We did get 1 last year, but we also hired a new inspector last year, so it didn't, it fulfills the new inspector that we hired. It didn't replace any of the older ones.
Mayor Burgess, are you in agreement with this budget?
Well, for the most part, yes, but I'll make a recommendation later, so there may be a tweak or two. One thing I want her to tell you about is we're just one step away from paper and pen already on our ability to maintain records. And you'll notice there's an increase on a couple line items there. They want to obtain some software that will move us into the 21st century, almost, you might say, with her ability to maintain and record records and keep up with. You're going to hear the same thing from our planning and engineering department. So in all probability, we will have to bid this of some sort. And so we support the need for that. We don't know how it's going to turn out when we actually try to choose a provider, a vendor, you might say.
That's in your maintenance agreement, Roy?
It is, yes. It's a permit tracking and inspection tracking software. What we've got right now is a database, basically just a database. We don't have our inspections were all done by paper and pencil up until this past summer when OIT wrote us a very basic program that we could get online, or excuse me, get on the computer and print out an inspection form. However, our software system that we currently have is about 15 years old, and at its time was just a database. So we've just kind of tweaked it and made it work over the last few years. But the new software that we've looked at several in local jurisdictions around the Middle Tennessee, and this will basically, in conjunction with planning and engineering, will literally track a project from development stage all the way through issuing a certificate of occupancy in the single-family dwelling.
So that being said, are you guys able to piggyback off the same system?
We
Okay.
are.
That's gonna work.
Okay, gotcha. I'm with you now.
So for plats recorded, we won't have to email an inspector to release the lots, right?
Correct.
There's a portal, a public portal, which the public can view the approval process and see what's lacking, what's needed, what's been approved. So that's going to be a big plus too.
There's a $21,000, so there's the amended budget from 16-17 of 9-9. And your initial thoughts thus far are your next year's budget of $1,011,000. Well, I'm seeing this correct, $21,000 difference. You've reduced a lot of areas,
Right.
a lot of items.
Right. We added an extra vehicle and the software and the maintenance. The installation of it and the maintenance of it is all included in that $1 million.
So a $21,000 increase
Correct.
from last year. What is our, what's the onus on us tonight? We approved, we
You
just,
approve this as
Concept.
principle.
and it goes to where?
The budget will get the
Budget.
detailed recommendation, but unless you see something that's really just completely out of your belief that it's necessary, you just sort of accept her proposal and send it on to budget.
If the other gentlemen don't have further discussion, we can discuss after my motion, but I'm pleased that in the growth we're having, you're requesting a relatively humble increase. And if part of it's software update,
And an
there's
extra
a
vehicle.
$21,000 increase, and I make a motion to forward this to budget, to the budget committee.
Motion made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much.
It's not a roll call.
No, not a roll call.
Not this round.
got real long yet.
Beat down, come later.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah, we did beat down.
New solid waste
And
report plan.
I don't know if you noticed or not, but the revenue's up every month, and her department is self-sufficient, basically, revenue-wise versus expenses.
Our
We
projected
increased those revenues last year.
Yes, and our projected revenue is up about, probably about $250,000 between last year and this year, total.
And if you have fund balance, does it,
It's just part of the overall county general. It doesn't stay with her necessarily. It helps other departments that need it, like planning and engineering.
Thanks, Mayor.
I think so.
Okay, we're ready for planning. Come on up.
we can reduce this budget and count on the,
Yeah, we can slash this. Right.
Hope everybody's doing well tonight. We've got a whole litany of things to talk about. Before we jump into the budget and everything, we'll go ahead and do kind of our normal business. First being the available lot inventory. You'll see copies of that on your iPad. You'll see that our available lot inventory as of the end of February of this year was down, actually, to 694, was over 700 last month. Had a pretty good month as far as permits are concerned. Had a subdivision or two that were larger subdivisions that were reported, but still saw just a little bit net decrease in that. You'll see that the total available lots is up about 120 or so from this time last year. A number that I do want to point or call your attention to is on that very last page of that document will be the total lots that are still going through the process. They're not reported at this point. This could be preliminary, some finals that haven't been reported yet.
sheet 404 or?
It'd be sheet 3 of 3. Just keep going. I'm sorry. Yeah, there's two documents in this. Yeah. But you'll see that total loss of 3,115. Of those 3,115 lots that are still in the process somewhere, either a final plat yet to be recorded or a preliminary plan that's still going through the construction process. Since 2015, 2,387 of those have been approved. So what we're seeing is basically 2/3 of the lots that are available or that are not available, but are in the process right now, we've approved in the last 2 years. So you can kind of see that what we were discussing earlier about the amount of growth that this county is experiencing, it's not slowing down, it's only picking up.
And if I could interject something, of the, what'd you say, 2,400?
Yes.
2,400 lots that we've done the last couple of years, we have approximately 1,115 lots that are almost ready for pre-construction, meaning to start construction soon, this spring.
1,150?
1,115 of those 2,400.
20,
That includes 7 new subdivisions with 681 lots, brand new subdivisions that will be starting from scratch. So, I'm sorry, Gary.
No, please. So if there's no questions on that, I'll go ahead and jump into our rezoning requests. We'll have 2 rezoning hearings for the Board of Commissioners this month. The first is property along Armstrong Valley Road. This is the property of Ms. Patricia Sanders. The property is about 29 acres, I believe. Yes, about 29 acres in size. It's adjacent to a tract of land about 330 acres, so together it's about 360, but that is a separate tract. These were both zoned agricultural residential when the new zoning ordinance took effect back in January of 2013. The 330 acres, the larger tract, is designated property with the Tennessee Land Trust, but this smaller portion that they're asking for rezoning, the 29 acres, is not. It's kind of just a remainder piece from that. The applicant, the owner of the property, she'd like to sell off that land, but do it as a residential subdivision under the development guidelines for RM zone, the residential medium density. There's a concept plan in the agenda materials as well. Essentially, it's going to be about 13 lots. These aren't going to be smaller lots. They'll all have frontage along Armstrong Valley Road. Under the AR zone, agricultural residential, you have to have a 5-acre minimum lot size. Since this isn't part of the land trust, staff didn't really have any issues as far as the zoning application was concerned. We recommended approval of the Planning Commission after their public hearing very little discussion on this, and they did recommend approval by a unanimous vote. The second application is for property located at the intersection of John Bragg Highway and McElroy Road. It would be the northeast corner of that property. It's roughly about 5 acres or so of land. The information provided by the applicant, they purchased this property originally to build a house on the property. There's a property survey in with your agenda materials, and you will see there's a good number of easements on this property. TVA, Middle Tennessee Electric, pretty much eats up roughly half of the property just with electrical easements. The applicant, after really looking at it and determining after looking at it that this probably isn't very appropriate for a residential home, has asked for the ability to zone this to commercial services to allow, doesn't have just an exact idea what they want to do, but some of the ideas they put out there would have such like maybe a retail store, mechanic shop, church, office, something like that. Those uses would be permitted in the commercial services zone. This is identified in the Kittrell Rural Center under our comprehensive plan, which does contemplate a commercial mixture of uses, so I don't think this is inconsistent with that at all. There's going to be a lot of issues as far as developing this tract, no matter how it's developed. The soil site that they show is actually under one of the electrical line easements, and according to TDEC rules, they're not supposed to use soil that's actually encumbered by some sort of an easement, even if it's an overhead power line. So they're going to have to do some more soil testing for that. But overall, after discussion at the Planning Commission, again, the Commission had several questions regarding the allowable uses, their appropriateness for the area, the possibility of maybe seeking relief from the Board of Zoning Appeals, just as far as possible setback issues are concerned. There's still going to be about 2.5 acres or so that are what I call usable space, not
Just
encumbered by the
wooded
easements.
portions.
Yes.
Is all that's
Yeah,
available.
on the map. Yes, yeah, I mean, you can kind of see on that map there, you can see where the lines are just by how they've kept them trimmed.
Will it have allowed access to 70? Or does it have to?
That would have, well, they would have to talk to the state about that.
Yeah.
It could more likely be.
Right.
You can still have a drive aisle in through the easements or park in it as well.
Mhm. So it's not totally unusable, but as far as buildings, actual structures are concerned, it's going to be challenging. But staff was neutral on this, but the Planning Commission, after discussion, did recommend approval by a unanimous vote. So those are the two applications. There was a third application that was along Shores Road that was denied, recommended denied, and then was ultimately pulled by the applicant. So that one will be considered. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have on the rezonings.
You need a motion on that? Yes, sir. Motion approved. Second.
Get the budget.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the next item we'd like to discuss is the planning and engineering budget amendment. And this is to hire a new road site inspector this budget year. We have one of our inspectors, long-term time inspector Bob Reed, is retiring at the end of this fiscal year, June 30th. So we'd like to hire another inspector and have him be trained by Bob and Jeff Jaco in the meantime before Bob is retired. So we'd like to add him this year for 3 months and have it covered under this budget amendment.
Your determination of pay and all that was just based on
It would be, yes.
your table. I guess you got a table.
Yes, we have
Okay.
a step and
Okay.
grade as well.
And those funds come from,
It'd be from the...
we approve that as an amendment to your current budget, those funds would come from,
The unassigned fund balance, I guess.
we don't have that.
Oh, I'm sorry, it should be on the,
It's on there, scroll down.
I've done it again.
let's see.
Budget amendment, thank
Budget
you.
amendment, yes, okay. And it's got various, Social Security, pension, insurance, disability, Medicare as well. based on pay grade 27, step 3, which would be the beginning stage for this inspector, would be $42,232 for a total year. That's a quarter of the year. But that ties back into how busy we are. We're extremely busy, and we thought we'd take advantage of Bob's experience, years of experience, and get somebody on board right now and have Bob help train this new inspector.
Just on behalf of the other gentleman here, I don't want to be the only one approving all these amendments, but I happen to work with this department, and they do function well, and Bob has been a real stable component of their office and their success, so it makes sense to me to have him take this opportunity for him to train, especially if the funds are coming from unassigned balance. I mean, the funds are available, Mr. Mayor. They're
Yes, sir. Our- With the surplus that we're gaining from the Building and Codes Department, we're going to check. Hunt.
You're welcome.
I make a motion to approve this
Second.
position.
Made in second.
Yes. Who was the second?
Me. Kush. Made in second. Okay, call the roll.
Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Commissioner Kush?
Yes.
Commissioner Nipper?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
And Mr. Chairman, you saw the development tax report. We collected $4 million through February. That's more than we have budgeted for this year. So I mean, it's coming in ahead of our schedule there. So we're doing well there. And this reflects the extra work that you're seeing as well. All this is happening. Just want to make you aware that we are doing a development tax is coming in nicer.
And with that many lots in the pipe, you can anticipate that continuing.
Yes, sir.
That's just county lots.
That's
Yes,
correct.
yes, that does count. That's cities. The
And
next,
I know that's not always reoccurring, you can't always count on that. There's a $58,000 a year in here somewhere probably, but nonetheless, that's good news.
and the next item we'd like to discuss is a ordinance update to our stormwater, and Katie's going to cover that.
So this year, we had to sign a new notice of intent with the state as far as the stormwater. It's a 5-year permit, so the cycle ended and we had a new notice of intent. It was due February 1st. And some of the language changed in the permit a little bit. We were in compliance with that permit, the 5-year permit. As far as the county went, we actually were audited and found in full compliance. They asked us to add some verbatim wording in our ordinance, so you didn't have to go to another manual to find some of their regulations. And since we had the new permit cycle, I decided to go ahead and update the ordinance to reflect the changes and what they asked us to do in the audit. And nothing has changed regulatory-wise in the ordinance. It's just some definitions were updated and some language to make sure that everything was with current.
So none of the federal guideline first flush volumes, this is not any of that. This is
None of that has changed. And really, the only thing that kind of changed with our regulations and you'll see that reflected in the budget, is that they changed the language on which streams we have to test. It can't be, it's source-based now. It's not source-based now. So we used to only have to test streams that said it discharges from an MS4. Well, now if it's impaired by E. coli and there's a TMDL, we have to test it, even if we know it's agricultural. They said that if we can prove that the MS4 has absolutely no bearings on the stream being impaired for this reason, then we can, in the next permit cycle, remove it. But we have to prove it. So.
That's not a regulation, that's just
government.
Yes. Word from above.
But that wasn't changed in the ordinance at all. That's
And-
separate, you'll see later in the budget.
Right. Another thing that we've added is the Volume 5 to the Metro Nashville Stormwater Manual, which We already adopted Volume 4, their best management practice manual. This Volume 4, we've already adopted. Volume 5, the new manual we're going to adopt, incorporates a lot of the first flush infiltration options that Metro allows, so we're going to allow that as well.
When does that go into effect for Rutherford County?
It did March of 2014?
Well, I mean, are you enforcing that?
Yes.
It's, yes.
Okay.
With the water quality standards we already.
So this language and this updating to most current volume, does it add a burden onto site plans? Is it burden?
If anything, it makes it easier for them. They have options.
They've got an additional
more
option.
options.
More options,
Mhm.
yes, sir. We've got to control the water quality and the water quantity.
Right.
So
And
this-
with the exemptions to the 1-inch infiltration, we made the language meet the new permit, which gives them more options to be exempt from the infiltration.
You up to speed on that?
I live it.
I know, I saw you. Thank you.
Katie, we need a resolution here?
The resolution is in there. It's got
It's-
the wrong date.
Yes.
So is there a resolution?
There is a resolution.
Yes,
I
there is
just-
a resolution. It's, let's see.
Resolution 2016.
I
Yeah,
see the
resolution
resolution down there.
2016
So that resolution is what we need
ordinance.
to adopt with the
With the correct
correction of
date.
correction
Yes.
of the dates in there. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Do you need to read this into the minutes and then just say the correct date? Get it? So this resolution.
Just move
Just amend
move
it.
to adopt the resolution subject to the changing of those dates, making them appropriate.
And you're just talking about the resolve
Mhm.
date?
Yes, yes.
Go ahead, you're hitting
About
all
1,000.
cylinders, man, come on.
I get this, and it makes sense.
And this has already gone through the planning commission
Yeah.
as well. They
Let's move on, man. I approve this per the resolution that's with the resolve date changed to reflect today. So you. There you go.
I was gonna give you the silent treatment.
It's the, yes, the date of the commission meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, we got a
Thanks,
motion
Rob.
second. All in favor?
Okay. Next item we'd like to discuss is the stormwater management budget.
Are you going to do this budget amendment?
I think we already did.
no, the stormwater budget amendment.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. We need to do the stormwater budget amendment. I'm sorry.
That's
Let's see, where is that?
so this budget amendment basically removing.
How many kilobytes does that one have? Maybe it's easier to sort that one.
Yeah, I think Vicki was supposed to upload that one.
We need to sign
It's
this?
on the very bottom.
No, it's just for you to look at it.
Oh, okay.
Apparently it didn't make the
It's on the very
SharePoint.
bottom. If you
Oh, is it?
Scroll down.
The stormwater budget transfer?
Oh,
Oh, okay, there it is. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So basically, we finished all of our stream testing for private agencies in the 4th fiscal year of the notice of our notice of coverage, but we still have to do the dry weather screenings where my interns actually walk the streams, and we didn't have money to hire the interns in this budget year, so we transferred it since we had done all the testing for the E. coli.
So you'll draw this out of the private agency's contract line item, put it into the,
Part-time personnel.
Part-time
I
personnel.
make a motion to approve this amendment based on this document.
Second.
Second, Mr. Steve. Call roll.
Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Commissioner Kush?
Yes.
Commissioner Nipper?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now, I guess we'll move to the stormwater management budget. If that's all All right. A few items of interest would be assistance at the first line. Katie's planning on taking her PE exam in October, and if she passes, when she passes, she will get a healthy raise. So the results would come in December, so we've adjusted the department request to reflect that raise in December for half the year.
So the pressure's on, man.
Yeah, she's going to pass.
Okay. Another item to
I know you will.
I'm studying now.
It is.
Got it.
Is this your first time?
It is.
Okay. I'll take that back there.
The next line that had a big change is item 312. MTSU is not a private agency. We had that mislabeled under the private contracts with private agencies. So MTSU is going to be able to do all our macroinvertebrates and fecal E. coli testing. So we move that down to line 399. So it's reflected in that line. So that's why there's a 0 for that request. And then the next item is 399, other contracted services. That includes $5,000 for the string testing for MTSU, and then a $3,500 annual payment we have to make to TDEC for the MS4 permit Katie was talking about. The next item, let's see, data processing equipment. We're not purchasing any big ticket items in data processing. We bought the survey equipment last year. This year we've got included $1,800 for a large monitor and a video card for the online plan submittal review for Katie.
That goes along with the
other
planning and code software that we were
code
talking
software.
about, that Tandy was talking about a few minutes ago, and we'll go into more detail.
Plans are submitted online
They will be with this new
for
software.
preliminary plat review?
For
Yes.
any plat review.
Yes.
Any
Yes.
plat.
That's
Like
what
it's
we're
stacked
moving.
on a desk somewhere?
That's what we're moving towards is a electronic plans review.
Cool. And we can see that, the public could see
They would
the
even
status
be
of
like
that.
written on, I think.
Right, we can comment on the plans themselves. So this is part of with the plans being, 24 by 36, large sheets, you'll need a large monitor to see the plans adequately. You couldn't see anything like on a tablet or even a conventional monitor. So we're going to get a few large monitors like that to be able to look at the plans. And then the next item, we're requesting a new vehicle for an inspector, four-wheel drive vehicle. This will be the day-to-day inspector's vehicle that we need on job sites. And then the next line down would be $1,000 for safety lights and rubber floor mats for the vehicle. So all in all, with Katie's raise, we're a little over 2,700 above last year.
Who does the purchasing of the new vehicles?
It'll be off the state bid list. We'll go through the state bid for that.
Who does it?
I guess we just,
Do you do it?
yes, my staff will, yes. But it's just a generic four-wheel drive vehicle, plain white truck, 4x4.
So you can't choose options or nothing, it's just a plain Jane truck?
There are options to.
There's a
within the
few-
GSA bid process, you could put some options on there, but he'll be limited to the amount of money we have in the budget.
Right.
There won't be many options on it, I don't believe.
I won't have a sound system or.
Where do they come from, Larry?
I think-
Local dealer?
If off the state usually has a local, somebody within the state that has bid to them, and I don't know where the dealership might
I
actually
think
be.
there's one in Cookville. I thought Murfreesboro was, but I could be wrong about that.
Murfreesboro's previous contract has expired, and they have not taken another set of bids from anyone locally here, okay? The sheriff has been doing that in recent years, but we haven't had a bid taken, so that time has expired on the one that's outstanding. So to get anything short-term, you'll have to buy it off the state contract.
That's essentially our budget for stormwater.
Move we recommend it to go to the budget committee.
Second.
Thank you, commissioners.
Second.
I didn't say a thing.
No, you just.
Motion made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay, and for the planning and engineering budget, Mike and I will present that. I'll just go ahead and call your attention to the total at the bottom there. After talking about humble increases and things, you'll see that ours is fairly robust. We're looking at an increase of just a little over $200,000 in our budget for this year. Now, that being said, I will say that probably half of that we're looking at is in one-time costs that we're looking at in this budget year, and we'll go through some of those items here in a minute. I'll also say that over the last 10-plus years that I've been with the county, that our department is not one to bring something to you if we don't think you really have to have it. And so that's why this is being brought to you today, because I really believe that this is a direction that we really need to be going into. Just looking at some of the line items here that have increased fairly significantly. The first one would be line item 103. That would be assistance. That increase from 216.7 to 244.9. That includes the increase for the third inspector, for construction inspector that we did the budget amendment for a little earlier today. That budget amendment for earlier was just for 3 months. This would be for an entire year, so you see that reflected in there. Under the secretary's line item 161, you'll see that increased. Our original budget was...
I'm sorry.
Go
I
ahead,
thought
sorry.
that the inspector was replacing.
Well, we are asking for a third inspector. We've gotten to the point, we just can't cover the ground as well as we can in earlier, slower days. But we're asking for a third inspector. So we'll have 3 total. We'll have Jeff Jaco, the one we're hiring earlier at the end of this budget year, and then we're going to look for another inspector on top of that. So it's just, the county is so large and we've got so much going on. We think it will benefit the county to have a third inspector. Essentially, they'll pay for themselves by reducing the long-term maintenance of the roads that the county will be accepting and have to maintain from here on out. So we feel if we have additional inspector on additional boots on the ground, we can keep a good handle on the way the roads are built, stormwater systems are instructed and constructed, and just help overall in the future.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks, Mike. Under the, again, under line item 161, secretaries, we started out this budget year at $110,789. You'll recall we did a budget amendment a little earlier this year to hire a administrative assistant to full-time staff the TDEC office in our building for septic tanks. So this is just reflecting that cost for a full year. You recall it was only for a portion of the year for before, but now this will be a full-time position moving forward. Moving down the list, several of these next few, of course, are calculated directly regarding like Social Security, pensions, those kind of things. Due to the increase of the new positions that we have in the budget, you'll see that went up fairly significantly, about $20,000, but the reason for that is for the new positions. Getting down really to maintenance agreements, this is similar to what Tanya was discussing in her budget, as well as Mike had alluded to it in his as well for stormwater. The planning software and the things that we're evaluating right now, those particular solutions that we're looking at, we realize due to the costs that they're going to have to be bid, more than likely. So what we're at least trying to do is program some money in there that when a solution is chosen, if we do find an appropriate solution, the money will be there to begin implementation of that solution. You'll see that some of the numbers that we've been getting, the startup fees of that $65,000 for the software, I would call your attention to that. There was a handout that Tanya had in hers that I have extras if you need, but it kind of breaks it down on the back page as far as the different modules.
It's the EPR
points, yes, which stands for Electronic Plans Review. But there's a couple different modules. There's a module that Tanya's looking at, which is for permitting. The modules that we're looking at would be for the plat and plan review, and also for inspections. Again, those are all modules that can be shared amongst our departments, which is why you're seeing kind of a breakdown in cost between what Tanya is requesting, what we're requesting, and then even some in Mike's budget for stormwater.
But y'all lumped a lot of it into yours, obviously.
Yes. I would say that, 2/3 roughly of it is in ours. But you'll see the one-time startup fees of that is $30,000. Again, that's just a one-time fee. The yearly maintenance fees after that would be $35,000 for those two modules. Again, these are ceilings of what we're talking about right now. We feel that there's probably room for negotiation on this. We're just trying to program the money in there now, so when we select a solution, there'll be something there. Also, some associated software with that to help with the actual plan review. There's some, I wouldn't say dedicated software, but proprietary software that would make our review process a little simpler.
Is that Bluebeam?
That's what the Bluebeam is, yes, sir. It's kind of like an Adobe Reader in a sense, but it's got a lot more functionality than Adobe would have.
I think I heard that term today, that Murfreesboro Water Sewer may have blue-beamed something to an engineer. Would that be?
Well, it allows you to look at the older set of plans, overlay it with the new set of plans. You can see the revisions that have taken place between the two. So it's pretty neat.
Mm-hmm. Moving down the list, and again, if you have questions, please feel free to stop me. Just moving down the list, of course, we have reduced some line items. Postal charges we did reduce by $1,000 because we are sending out more items, but it's just the money we have budgeted is more than enough that we have. Under the data processing supplies, this is the actual software implementation. You see that's a little more higher than it typically is, $4,740. Plus we have our normal ink cartridges, copy and printer toner, those kind of things. Gasoline for the vehicles, adding a third inspector is going to mean more miles traveled, which is going to be more gas burned. We're pretty much, with the budget we have this year, you're probably going to be seeing a budget amendment come through next month. We're pretty much at the end of what we've got budgeted for this year with the amount of construction that's been going on. Mike alluded to that earlier. Again, more people, our inspectors are just out more, and they're driving more, so they're putting more miles on.
And it's a large county.
And it's a large county. So we're thankful gas is cheap right now.
You know, we don't want to put them in an electric vehicle. It's coming up.
Hey.
We're getting to that here in just a minute. That's coming in just a minute. Scrolling down the list, the next big ticket item under data processing equipment, Mike had alluded to this earlier under the stormwater budget. Of course, we've budgeted a computer monitor software for the new inspector position, but then we've also put in some of these, the larger digital signs for those planning and engineering employees that will be actually reviewing the plans. So we've programmed in some extra money for the larger monitors and also the video cards to handle those. We've been working with OIT as far as identifying costs on that. The last large ticket item, and Mike may want to chime in on this, as you were speaking about electric vehicles, we have two on the way. We did apply, as you know, for the CMAQ grant, Congestion Management and Air Quality Grant. We were awarded the $51,118. Of course, we have to purchase the vehicles, and then that money is reimbursed. So you'll see our local match is $12,780, but we programmed the entire cost of those vehicles into the budget with the understanding that we will be reimbursed that $51,118. So that is the kind of the overview of our budget. Again, it's $996,400 and change. It is a large increase probably the largest one we've asked since I've been employed with the county. But again, we wouldn't be bringing it forward if we didn't think this was something that we believed was necessary and that we really need to move forward, especially with the amount of growth that we're experiencing right now and the volume of plans that we've seen over the last couple of years, and that shows no signs of slowing down at this point.
Well, your big ticket item obviously is the software, right?
Yes, sir.
And the equipment that goes with it.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, that's it. Really, the other increases are people and insurance, things that are really can't control, to a great deal you can't control. Here's my 2 cents. 200 sounds like a lot of money, and it is, no question. But my 10 or 11 years that I've been involved on the Planning Commission, which means 10 or 12 years of annual budget review, Planning Department has always been, to my recollection, been very frugal, and you guys have really never asked for a lot of money. If you have, it's always been shot down. If you ever, 200's a lot, but I mean, I remember years where you got nothing, or less than nothing. And I mean, I think really I'd have to go back, or you could tell me, or you could tell budget when you have to go back in front of them. But if you look at the 10-year track record, I bet you haven't got more than $50,000 the last 10 years.
This is, I mean, what we're asking for today is the largest budget
Ever.
that I've prepared.
Yeah.
You know, I won't say ever, you know, just because I don't know what they
Yeah.
were like before I got here.
Yeah.
But
So,
it's the largest one I've prepared.
right. And I know that the lion's share of that is for technology, and technology is long overdue in your department. Save a lot of paper at some point in time. I won't say it's going to pay for itself, but it'll save a lot of trees and a lot of paper, and maybe keep paper out of the landfill from back to the back room.
And really, it's only $150,000 in debt because you're getting $51,000
Yeah.
of revenue
Yeah.
for those two vehicles.
So the fact that it's early in the budget stage, and the fact that I haven't made a motion yet for anything really to be first, I'm going to make a motion to approve.
Need a second.
Second.
Reno. Next on the roll. Motion made and second. All in favor? Aye.
Thanks.
I think so. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I have a question before y'all leave.
Yes, sir.
Y'all are right in the middle of all the development and lot planning and subdivisions and all. Do you ever see a need that we might need to try to manage this growth somehow? From a wide open system to something the county can manage?
Well, I mean, that's honestly what we tried to do.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the purpose of creating the comprehensive plan, upgrading the zoning regulations and subdivision regulations, even the stormwater changes that are being made. Those are efforts to try to manage the growth in such a way that it's not going to create undesirable impacts to the county as a whole. There are some other things that we're looking at. You know, the Planning Commission has asked us to look at some traffic management issues, I suppose, for lack of a better word. You know, we were looking at solutions like traffic sheds, things like that, but we want to look more into those kind of things. And quite frankly, having these software packages and things that we're looking at will help, I think, efficiency in a way that we can get our jobs done that much faster, give us more time to do some of those things. You know, we break things down into kind of what we call current planning and then long-range planning. Most of our day-to-day is current planning. Quite frankly, we don't have a whole lot of time to do long-range planning because we've got so much going on the current planning side. Anything that can help us on that side of things can only help us on the long range side where we'll have more time. But, I mean, to answer your question, it's something we think about daily. Yes, sir, it is. It's just a matter of trying to identify those solutions and strategies that'll help us to move forward in that direction. But it started with the comprehensive plan and the zoning update.
Okay.
I'm hearing you say move forward in the objective of slowing growth?
Not slowing it, maybe just growing, I guess. And this means something different to everybody, but growing smarter in a sense, more responsible growth.
And you've got the traffic shed as a capital expenditure in your future.
Yeah,
correct?
or something, traffic shed, long-range transportation plan update, something to that effect. We're not quite sure what direction we're
Traffic
going to go in.
shed study. That's 1890.
Correct, that's not this budget year.
But to answer Mr. Pierce's question, you heard what they said at the very beginning here, how many new applications we're getting for additions to subdivisions
Right.
and for even new subdivisions. I don't think there's any tool in your toolbox to slow that down personally. Short of a moratorium, I don't know what you could do to make that happen.
How
And I
are we
will
going to
tell
take
you-
care of all of it, Mr. Mayor?
Sir?
How are we going to take care of all of it?
Well, the only thing that's really helping us somewhat is this development tax, but we do not have any ability to raise that or increase that or change that. That's the only thing that's really, you might say, is a bit of a tool to generate some revenue to offset some of this growth.
So the mayor's answer to your question was more revenue to be utilized
But we don't,
to help with smart growth, right? Is that what I'm hearing? Revenue is a solution?
I don't know, you're doing the talking.
well, I mean,
Well,
if we,
he responded as revenue. Do you think that's a good solution? Or are we looking to slow it down?
well,
I'm not being facetious, I'm asking.
it's going to continue, this growth, I mean, if you look at the population projections, I mean, we're going to be at 500,000, they tell us, in 2035 to 40. And that's not going to slow down the growth and then for the number of students we're going to have to educate. It's all, we have to have some legislative relief. The County Powers Relief Act that is passed some 10 years or more ago that's put us in no position to do anything with respect to impact fee or increasing the quote adequate facilities tax is not giving us any tools to actually sort of address the additional costs that we're incurring. So I'm just telling you that I've reviewed what Williamson County did, and through a stroke of genius in 1987, they passed 3 private acts, which was all years before the County Powers Relief Act was even thought about. And one of those, they used the first 2. The third one they just used last November, it appears to me. And they have now put an additional tax on for residential development, an impact fee that ranges from $2,500 to $11,000 more per house. We don't have that ability to even think about that right now.
That would slow it down.
So we can talk to our legislative delegation and see how the fast-growing counties are going to get some relief against the County Powers Relief Act that's trumping anything we might want to think about doing.
And I didn't mean to shut you down. I'm glad you brought the question.
Well, you
So
didn't. I do a lot
meant-
more listening than I do talking.
If I meant to speak over you, forgive me.
That's quite all right.
We had discussed earlier, like, for instance, we have the development review fees, a lump sum and a per lot fee that the county has now. They have a preliminary plat review fee.
$750, and then when they...
And $100 a lot. No, the review fee, it's a $500
review fee.
plus $100 per lot.
Oh, yeah, we do have some costs.
So can those be increased?
We can increase
Do they
those.
have limits? I know there's a limit that would be a diminishing return, is what we mentioned earlier, but can that money be, could that fee be increased and those monies be earmarked for anything, or?
Well, it comes into the general fund. I mean, we have increased those fees from time to time. Yes, we can do those. That will generate a nominal amount of money,
Sure.
but yes, we can do that.
But it would have some new activity pay for some new impact to some
Well,
degree.
if we added that fee and we're already, it would give more money to come over and to be added to our unassigned fund balance so they can use it for other purposes, whatever you might choose to use it for. The commission would decide how to do that. But we couldn't probably treat that like an impact fee. I don't think they would let us get away with that. That has to be somewhat related to the actual cost that we're incurring to do those services that we're providing to manage those applications and permits.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, solid waste landfill.
Good evening, how are y'all?
Good, mate.
As you see on the landfill report, we've been a little bit slow this month. Part of it's weather related, and then part of it's just because it's been a short month. The month of February is a little bit shorter than others, but the landfill is still doing well. We've still been moving quite a bit of dirt and do some other stuff. Now we're moving quite a bit of rocks. You know, when you dig out holes and haul the dirt out, you wind up with a hole. You wind up with a lot of rocks left over, so we're hauling the rocks, filling the holes back up. And that's more of a cleanup thing and a safety factor, just to where the holes aren't as dangerous. But any other questions on the landfill? If not, we'll move to the recycle centers. Recycle centers have still stayed busy. This past weekend, pretty weekend, we're always busy on the weekends like that, you know, so it's weather related. We actually ran out of receiver boxes again Sunday. Had one center to close about 30 minutes early. Everything was full, no boxes to take to him. We've got a few in the repair line. I got with our contractor. We should have half of those in the repair line back online by this weekend, so that may solve that problem for us, hopefully. And then we've got some, had a driver retire, got another one scheduled to retire, so we're having a little turnover. But we're trying to manage that. We'll talk about that in a budget amendment here shortly. If you look at February this year versus February last year, it's not a lot of change. You know, we're looking at less than 300 tons total and change. That includes a population increase. So people, I think, are still recycling a little more than they have in the past. That's what I'm going to try to relate that to anyway. We need to push recycling even harder. We had another meeting with our consultant team and our SWAC committee. They got a lot more information on what some possibilities may be, and they also got a questionnaire of what would be palatable to them as far as what solutions may be. So our next meeting should have some more of those solutions and scenarios brought forth, so y'all may want to watch that on, it was videoed, City of Murfreesboro, and it also runs on all the other government channels, so y'all may want to watch that. It is very long, but I think the meeting was 3+ hours or something. So. But if you don't have any other questions, we can move into a budget amendment.
Motion to approve this report.
Second.
Made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
We're going to change it up for you just a little bit. You know, last several months we've been doing budget amendments on the landfill. We don't have a landfill budget amendment. We've got recycling center budget amendments. With the driver retiring and another one impending to retire, we don't have any vacant positions. So what we're asking to do is put $7,500 increase, and what we'll do is hire another driver to try to finish out this budget year. We've spent a lot of money in overtime because we've had some drivers out, we've had some retire, so we're going to ask for $10,000 more in the overtime line item to cover for some of that shortage between now and the end of the year. And then also, we've had some very expensive, unusual breakdowns on trucks. So we've spent more money than we anticipated, so we're asking for a $40,000 increase in the maintenance line item to repair the vehicles. All of that is coming from within that same budget. 10,000 of it's coming out of advertising, 30,000 is coming out of asphalt, and 17,500 is coming out of diesel fuel. So it's all in the same budget, it's just not in the right line items.
I move that we approve this budget amendment.
Second. Made and seconded. Call roll.
Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Commissioner Kush?
Yes.
Commissioner Nipper?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
And if you would, on your iPads, I didn't print a paper copy of this one, but if you would look at the 5-year capital budget plan that involves solid waste. If you got any questions on any of that, I can talk to you about it. The first line is talking about trucks and trying to increase trucks in the years that we think we're going to need them. The next is talking about compactors and receiver boxes and recycled containers and open tops. That's if we do an additional recycling center. And then you've got we've got future budgets out there with just dollar marks. We don't know what those dollar marks will be, so let's just let you know that they're coming. We're probably going to apply for a used oil grant, let me rephrase that, they changed it, used automotive fluid grant. May apply for 6 of those to put one in 6 different centers. So that grant total would be $90,000, and it included, part of that grant money would be a trailer to haul those fluids. And then, we're still working toward the gas migration system, which hopefully will be in next year's budget, and a leachate management system at the landfill. We may wind up having to permit a transfer station. TDEC is really looking closely at our operation. If you've been out to our landfill before, when you drive up Landfill Road and you pass Middle Point, after you get into our property on the right side is a storage yard where we have containers sitting there. What those are for is on Saturday afternoon at 11 o'clock, or Saturday morning at 11 o'clock, when Middle Point closes the gate on us, the rest of the day Saturday, we swap out loads, take them up there and set them off and store them. And we'll, take empties back to wherever they need to go. We've been doing that for years and years, but now they think that we need to permit that location. And they're not sure how we need to permit it because it doesn't technically meet the standards for a transfer station, and it doesn't meet the standards for a processing facility. It's basically taking a full loaded container and setting it on the ground. It sits there until we go back and pick it up. So we may wind up having to go for a permit of something, whatever they choose for us to do. And then down at the bottom of the page is new facilities. We're looking at possibly recycle centers, fleet maintenance, solid waste facility, materials management facility. If we get into recycling heavily, there's not a facility here in the county that can handle that. So that's just a kind of a snapshot of where we may be looking in the near and distant future. Any questions on that? Everybody have a paper copy of the budget?
Yes.
Actually, what we're going to discuss is 5 different budgets. They're all under Fund 116, the Solid Waste Fund. The first budget is the Sanitation and Education Information Budget. In this budget is where we have our education coordinator and our litter crew runs out of this budget. The first line item there is laborers. So what I'm asking for is an additional full-time litter crew driver. We're having a very difficult time trying to keep these roads clean. And with the rate of how they're getting dirtied back up, we're going to need additional driver to put on the street. Of course, with that, we would still continue to have a part-time driver. So hopefully what we would have is running 13 route days a week with the 3 total. Of course, along with that is all the benefits that go along with it that self-calculates. And then as you move on down, get past that, there's really not a lot of change until you get down to the bottom line item. If we're going to add another litter crew driver, we're going to need another vehicle and trailer. Currently, we have 3 vans and 2 trailers. So if we add another route, then we're gonna need a spare trailer, and the oldest van will wind up being a spare.
Do you think the neighboring landfill would be interested in contributing a little to the funds of cleaning the roads?
The county roads,
Yeah.
they pick up about a mile of what's near them. But as far as going further than that, they don't do that. As far as trying to give money to us for it, I mean, we could ask. I don't think there's anything that we could make them do that with.
No, to ask.
A lot of what we pick up is fast food containers and beverage containers. Most of what we pick up is not falling off of a garbage truck. Some of it is along some of that area, but most of it is what's being thrown out of the window. You want to take all 5 budgets one, or you want to take them one at a time? How you want to do it?
Take them all at the same time.
Okay. Are there any more questions on the sanitation, education budget?
The primary thing there is one additional full-time person with a new van and trailer, and the benefits that go with it. That's his increased request.
Next budget is titled Convenience Center Budget. The top lines are pretty much the same. You get to the third line, we have not added a full-time position as far as truck drivers. What I'd like to do is add another position for a truck driver and a part-time position. We need the help on the weekends. Our weekend volume is steadily increasing. The additional driver position would probably not be filled most of the time, but with the budget amendment that we've talked about, or did we talk about? We did, didn't we? That would take care of that. So when you've got somebody leaving, you've got an unfilled funded position that you can hire somebody to replace them, get them trained, and then once that person leaves, then you go back to still having an unfilled position. And we've had that in the past, and we've used those positions and not added any positions, but we've added different services and different people. So we've moved those positions into different departments within the solid waste budget. And of course, all the benefits and stuff are self-calculated benefits. Line item 338 is the maintenance repair service of vehicles. We need to increase that. That's the part of the budget amendment we just completed. We're not increasing it as much as the budget amendment is to get through the rest of the year. We're hoping those unusual expensive fixes don't happen this coming budget year. And then line 418 at the bottom of that first page, asking for a $15,000 increase there, and that's mostly for parts and materials and equipment parts. Line 433, the second from the top on the second page, is a $1,000 increase, and it's for automotive fluids, basically what that is. I guess a good thing, uniforms, we're looking at doing a decrease. We've got a new bid that looks like it's going to save us a little bit of money, so we're going to decrease that one a little bit. Utilities, historically, we wind up doing a budget amendment toward the end of the year, and we're already tracking to where we're going to need one this year, so we're going to ask them to increase the utilities line item. And we're looking to increase the $499 to purchase items not assigned to specific line items. data processing. Looking to increase that, we're going to need some new, basically what the big item on that one is we have to send our trucks to Mack and Nashville for them to put it on a machine and tell us what's wrong with it. And a lot of that stuff, once they determine that, we can fix ourselves much cheaper. So we want to buy one of those computers in the program to where we can determine that ourselves before we ever send it up there. That's what most of that's going to be for.
You have folks who can
Yes.
operate it.
I've got a ASC certified mechanic that's certified in everything that you can get. And he's also doing the fire and ambulance service training and working toward getting us, he wants to get every certification you can get for the emergency apparatus as well. So we pay for that out of our training, or travel line item, we call it training, but we're paying for that. 718, this year you got $300,000 budget. That's for one front loader truck. We've already got that ordered. It's 248,000 close. In this budget that we're requesting 2 roll-off trucks. NJPA bid price on a roll-off truck similar to what we would want, $170,000 each. So that's 2 trucks in that line item. And the rest of those line items are the same as they have been. Any questions on the convenience center budget? Next one's other solid waste collections. Most of what we do with that is our Haley Road project, where we're collecting the electronics and things down there. There's really not much change in the top section other than normal raises, or normal step raises and things like that. That's 1 full-time employee and 4 part-time. The line 312 is where we pay for the disposal of the electronics. As you can see, we're not tracking to spend that much money this year, but the contract comes up for either renewal or bid in August. And they tried to cancel the contract this past August, and the mayor held them to it, told him he wasn't going to accept a bid from them if they canceled. So we're going to asking to leave that line item as is, just in case that number does change. Line 399, that's where we pay for the disposal to recycle the glass. And we've done a budget amendment last month for that, so we've increased that line item to cover that. And the other line items are the same as they have been. Any questions there?
What does Bedford County do with their televisions and all of that?
They collect them, and I think they've got a company that deals with it, but they don't take in near as many as we do.
Right, and they don't charge fees.
I think you're right. I don't think they do.
Because I was just up there the other day, and they take metal and everything. I just wondered, I hope they didn't dump them in our facilities down here.
I don't think they do.
Okay.
The next one's landfill operation and maintenance budget. Not asking for any more people or anything there, so that top section of employees and benefits stays pretty much the same. The big one to draw your attention to is line 312. That's where we pay our contractor that pushes and packs the trash and moves the dirt and all that kind of stuff. We've already done enough budget amendments this year. If we don't do another one, to be $980,000. So put $1 million in that line item. Engineering services, we've done quite a bit. We still have more to do. So asking for an increase there. The rest of that page is, other than crushed stone, there's a $5,000 increase in crushed stone from this year's budget. closer the same as this year.
Check it out. This one.
You have a question?
No. I think, I'm sorry, this is an extra, yeah.
Is that correct?
And then the last budget is post-closure. That's taking care of the old landfill. Notice that first line item, I didn't put any dollars in there. That's where we've got the consultants that's been working with us. We've already set the money aside for that. We won't finish with them in this budget. So we should be able to move the remaining money for this budget into next year's budget. But it shouldn't, we didn't think we need to add any actual dollars, just that money will move there when it moves. Equipment operator rental, it's the same thing. We've got the contractor that does that, so we've done an increase there as well.
Same contractor?
Yes, sir. Engineering service, we've done an increase there as well. That's the methane and the groundwater monitoring. They're the ones that helps us with that. Line item 366, that's where we're paying the company to haul the leachate and treat it for us. We've done a couple of budget amendments already this year. We think we've got enough in there to finish this year's budget with it. So we put a little increase there. Of course, there are state permits come out of that as well. We have to pay a permit fee every year for different things to the state. The big jump is in 420. We've not fertilized and seeded that 260 acres since we've been here, or since I've been here. Number that I got, I think, is a high number. They said it ranged from $1,500 to $2,500 per acre, so $2,000 is where I settled with, and that's a roughly 45 acres is the actual landfill. I think we can do most old property for that amount of money, but that's the big increase there. And groundwater monitoring, we haven't had our budget set right for some time. The groundwater monitoring is a quarterly thing, and it's for gas and groundwater, and it's a little over $10,000 a quarter. So that's the reason we've increased that line item. I'm glad to try to answer any questions.
Everybody else needed a new car or Jeep or truck, you don't need one?
Garbage trucks was in there, two
I
garbage
don't
trucks.
have a small vehicle.
No, we're okay. If we get that trailer that's a 500-gallon tank on it, we may need a 3/4 ton truck, but we've got an old one. So we'll try to use it until something happens to it.
And your consultant is zero. I know you recited that, but that numbers, you'll have that as a budget amendment sometime.
What should happen with that
Or that,
is when we finish this budget year, we're not going to be finished with that project. So the money that's in this budget should be moved into next year's budget. So it won't be any new money.
okay. That budget we created was sufficient to
Unless
include
we,
the project.
right, unless we extend that contract and ask for more information or them to do more, it should be an increase in dollars. And the way that's set up, it's $250,100 is the total bill, which the Rutherford County is paying that and then going to get reimbursed from the cities. You know, so we'll wind up with some money coming back from that, but we've got to pay it up front. That's the reason it's the total that is in there. Look back on the capital plan, I think it's 2 years from now, be another front loader truck. With the way they're building schools, our trash route is just about maxed out. We can keep pushing them to try to recycle better, we might be able to make that work for a while, but once that happens, we wind up putting another truck on the street, this additional driver position will wind up being filled full-time probably.
Did you get the lock bars put on the school containers?
No, sir. The schools really didn't want those.
Didn't you?
Mayor, is there anything with this budget that stands out to you that should or shouldn't be there?
Everything, every line item should be there. The amount and a few of these line items will be discussed a bit more.
Rough math, it's about a 13% increase. If you take all five of your budgets and put them together, it's about a almost a $691,000 increase, which represents about a 13% increase in your budget. So, the 690 sounded like a lot when you look at it by itself. And when you look at it as a 13% of your budget, it didn't seem that out of the question. You had a couple new folks, some pieces of equipment.
I've been saying for years that we need to find a way to shift a little bit of the property tax money, more property tax money into this fund to shore it up. And I don't know that we've been able to accomplish that, but
But so far, we don't really have to do that because we've got enough other revenue sources that we're getting.
they're going to go away
They will go away.
very quickly.
The tipping fees will go away.
We go ahead and start shifting a little bit in there now. I think it'll really help us later.
So you
We
don't-
are putting some of the sales tax money in here, et cetera, already. But he's still okay ending fund balance, but we're eating away at it pretty quickly here if we're not careful. So we're going to have some more review.
I'd like to make the motion for move his budget on to the budget committee for further examination.
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thanks, Matty.
Adjourn.